late, so apologies. Had to get the dog sorted, but yeah, we're good to go. Let's go ahead and talk shop about some altcoins today. Specifically, we're going to look at Solana, Kadena, XRP, HBAR, Matic, Polygon Matic, Polkadot, and Chainlink. So they're all on the thumbnail of the video as well, so it should be fairly easy for you guys to see. And we're going to go from there, right? So let's see. Let me make sure that I've got this up in the chat. Hello, hello. It says there's 3 of you guys in here, so we are live. Let everybody know there, and yeah, hop in. So what's up, Rusty? What's up, Patrick? Happy Recovery Friday. Yeah, no, it's definitely a recovery for much of the market. So, you know, we'll talk about that. Talk about some altcoin stuff that we've been discussing in the group and our live streams. I've been going over pretty much all of these altcoins for several months now with the members, and they should have a pretty good grasp on what we were looking for and why we were still looking for lower prices overall. And Bitcoin kind of just came through with the rest of it. Sorry, I'm checking my phone here. Make sure that I've got it on silent. It's on Do Not Disturb. Perfect. Rock and roll. Let's share the screen and go. Actually, CVO sent me something about the video. I may need to update my Elgato. Let's see. Video. Audio. Yeah, we're good. We're golden. So 1080p is on. Everything should look fine. You guys let me know if it doesn't. Of course, always, you know, adjust your settings on your end on YouTube because it'll throttle it. So yeah, Bitcoin, again, what we were just talking about earlier, got to have the April low here, the monthly low. It's got to be there. Otherwise, you're just looking down to Q2. And the Q2 low is at 24,744, which was that tap of that Q2 pivot that we got back in the day. It front ran about like $20, but you know, it's a tap, and you've got a nice local gold pocket here. So that's just an area to have marked out for Bitcoin. But let's dive into the charts and talk about Matic. Matic had hit this 818,886 box off of this bat. And if you follow me on Twitter or you're in the group, you've actually seen me take this trade from 150 and ride it all the way down to 52 cents. You got a huge bounce off of a naked pointy control from July. Yeah, July. And almost filled out all the targets, which would have been, you are looking for the 6M2. That is also going to be your 382 from your overall high to low. That's your rejection spot. And it would have been your B leg right here. Okay, so you set your B leg. So this would have made a nice little zone here of confluence for what you were looking for. Okay, so you would have known that if I took that bounce, I probably should take some profits. We did leave a low down here at the Q2, and I'm going to get rid of this because it's just not that important to me right now. Q2 open is actually untapped, and I've marked the local low here at 50.89 cents. So what I've been waiting for is after this move up, I'm waiting to see if I can get a swing fail of this local low here into about 48.08 cents, maybe even as low as 45 cents. And if so, I'm willing to take that trade and, you know, try to trade this back to the upside, to be quite upfront with you. Would just be targeting, you know, again, like your quarterly pivots, things like that, whatever the data is at the time, whether it's your monthly range or your quarterly range, whatever you're looking to do, you know, and take that for a little bit of a ride. But I will say, since we're starting with Matic, you don't want to lose 48.08 cents. So, you know, we don't really know what's going to come of Bitcoin here. But whatever does come of it, we need to be somewhat prepared and ready for it. So if we get that move into this region and we get an SFP, I'm willing to trade it with invalidation below the low. And the reason I'm doing that is because if you look beneath you here, you do have some targets still much lower. And, you know, nothing is saying that we can't go this low, especially on altcoins right now. So I'm willing to trade this. I think that's the best risk reward setup. Even if it comes down lower, like so, like does something like this, guys, we don't often get perfection. I know that a lot of times I come on here and I try to collect a bunch of clout. We got perfection. Maybe it comes down to here and does something like this. I just want to long the reclaim. Stop loss either goes here or right here, depending on your entry and the setup that's available. And then I'm looking to long it back up to above these highs. That's all I'm doing. We're not doing anything fancy here. And these highs come in at, somewhere around 68 to 70 cents. And this is 50 cents. So you got to think that's like a 30, 40% move. That's not bad. That's the only trade setup I see right now where we are, so I'm waiting to see what comes of that, but I don't want to blindly long this region, at least not a second time, because the first tap was a good one. Because if you guys followed me on the shark pattern, this is a bat pattern. We're now looking for the 113% retrace after this. And that brings us all the way down into like this NPOC region. So if you lose this zone of support, it's not looking too hot. Now you do have the overall low right here from our drop. You could always swing fail that, but when you do, where are you going to swing fail it to? You're probably going to swing fail it into this March NPOC at 22 cents. And I'm just not willing to take that 50-60% haircut on a position like that. So for me, this is the region I'm looking for. Patrick, when I hit that target, I actually had closed all of it, but like 15%. And then as it was bouncing up, I just closed the remainder and said, enough is enough. I'm going to close this because I want to get back into Matic and potentially trade a long when the time comes. So I'm just waiting for that to basically apply a little bit of leverage, not too much. Yeah, it is 2 in 1 day, Ari. 2 in 1 day. I know we got 20 of you in here. So if you guys didn't hit the like button, make sure you do, because likes were definitely down on the last video, which I probably just talked too much, but they look good right now. So that is Matic. And that's why, I'm looking at the chart the way I am. If I get rid of the fund folder here and get rid of this little zone and even this local low, well, we could probably leave the local low and go like a monthly chart. This is your Q2 open and a 6-month level. That's why this has got an alert on it. That's why it's such a big area on the chart. And it would allow you to sweep the June low, which I believe is also your quarterly low, right? So you'd be taking Q2 low into quarterly and higher time frame on like the 6-month chart support. So that's why I'm really eyeballing this little box that I had highlighted right here. Okay. So that's the idea. And when you look at it on the high time frames, if we don't hold this zone, what are we doing? Well, we're targeting the overall low, which we just talked about at the 31 cent level at that point. You're targeting the overall low here from January. Maybe you swing fail, this Q3 low from 2022. I guess that could happen, but I'm looking more down towards this region. And if you can't reclaim this local low on like an SFP, this thing can go much, much lower. There's nothing here. So I know Polygon's a favorite and people love it, but in a market that like cryptocurrency, things can go much lower than you think. So you got to kind of be prepared. But yeah, to answer Patrick's question from where I am 100% out of that short. And maybe that was a mistake and I should have held it longer, but is what it is. So that is Matic. I'm going to try to timestamp this video so that people can watch it back easier. So give me just a second. Let me go to restream. We are at 8:44. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and timestamp this. You probably hear me doing it. Matic. 8:44. We'll see what's going to be next. Let's do QNT. QNT is on the list. QNT is a mess right now because we're on the high time frames. Yeah. All right. So QNT, this is your yearly regression. Okay. So that's all we're doing is we're looking for a trend. If you're in the group, you know exactly how I have these settings. We're just looking for a trend here, guys. And you've had a downtrend into pretty important support. So this is your 6M2 from 2022. It's a 6-month pivot. So most important one next to a yearly pivot. That is the average of price of the 6M1 in 2022. So from January 1st to June 30th, 2022, if you averaged out that price altogether, you would get what we have here at $94.68. you lose that level. I'm actually looking for these lows down here. I've been pretty vocal about that in the group for a long time, that I do think we revisit $63 and $53 over time. You had a really nice setup. I gave it in the group and then did cover it publicly. Again, another wonderful shark pattern. Okay, so this is the same thing that played out on Bitcoin, actually, just a smaller time frame for this one. But the context of this chart was it's bearish. Like, there's been a lot of people that got super excited about QNT on this move up. Your usual offenders, the guys that are like always deploying more capital, you know, we're all going to make it. One day QNT is going to be $10,000. You know, those guys, what are you going to do when when a QNT hits 1,000? What kind of Lambo are you going to buy? We all know who does that shit. And so when I see those people coming out of the woodwork on these coins, especially community coins like QNT, XRP, Cardano, HBAR, these are community coins that just get dumped on over and over. They're centralized coins with a high supply in most cases outside of QNT. And it can really cause some problems in terms of like price structure, it seems like. But they also have one thing in common. And I've talked about this before. I want to bring this up again because we need to revisit this. This is a very fundamental thing that you guys can learn about charts, is that when you look at QNT and how hard it ran, that's why it has such a big community, right? This thing ran like crazy. Think of the coins that did this previously. Cardano did it, QNT, HBAR, XRP, Algorand. You guys starting to see a theme here. And these are all the ISO 222 coins, or most of them are. And when you have a run up like this, such a massive run up at that, generally you're going to have a very long distribution phase. Doesn't mean it won't make an all-time high again. It's just this phase down here can be quite long. And XRP is the perfect example of that. And it's still doing it. So, you know, it's because this was all based on hype. It was at the peak of a bull market type thing. This is a hype cycle, you know, peaked out just before the peak of Bitcoin, which was right when Bitcoin peaked in, what was it, November 2021. So that's why this thing was going up. And what people do at certain points of the cycle is they shift away from Bitcoin and Ethereum eventually because of the big caps, and they start funneling large amounts of capital into these smaller market cap tokens, knowing that the hype cycle is going and that almost anything's going to go up with it. It's kind of like when stocks go through theirs and they make money, you know, they make astronomical gains. So that's why they're so attractive to people. However, where they get people is they sell you on this idea that we have these fundamentals and working projects. It's like we have a working use case. We're actually working, but in reality, a lot of times they aren't. They're just on paper. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And we have all these potential partnerships, but these are startups. So you should treat them as such. Doesn't mean you can't invest in them. It's just, you know, be careful. You don't want to end up buying into a bunch of hype and then, you know, holding this bag for 3-4 years, which I think could very well happen. But yeah, looking for much, much lower still. You know, where am I wrong on this one is if we can break out of the yearly trend, I think that would be fairly good. And targets wise, we have this local shark and we've worked out the targets, and you can see that we've hit this target. We've hit all the targets that I would trade on this. And then I told people in the Discord that I would be about 75 or 80% out of that short from up here when it was given. And I would just let the remainder ride with, you know, small take profits at like the 1,618, take profit at the 2,618, and then down at the 3,618 down here. Or you could use the 6M2 and the $53 horizontal. And if you get stopped out of that trade, it doesn't matter. You've already taken 80% of your winnings off the table in that regard, you know. And it's also going to depend on if you're on an exchange that you can actually short this, because some of them you can't. You know, it just depends on the exchange you're on. So what changes my mind is, you know, maybe a recovery of the 2023 open and moving back out of this yearly range or this yearly trend. We break the trend to the upside. Then I start looking for 122, 130, and potentially even all the way up here at like 140 and 142. Now that 140 area is super important for those that have been paying attention, right, to my content for quite some time. I believe it's a quarterly level, not quarterly level, but a quarterly SFP, if I recall. Yeah, it's about right here. I believe I called it the pit stop. I know I've got this somewhere. Those are key levels. Where's my horizontals at? Nope. It's a local low. Did I delete it? That doesn't seem like me. Anyways, this is your SFP right here at $145. And what I had been saying as we were approaching these levels was 145 is the key level. And the reason it is, well, it's a change of behavior. Much like XRP and 95 cents, you haven't closed over this on a quarterly basis in quite some time. And every time you come up here, you just give it all back. You see that? So not exactly a bearish look. And when we look at the current range that we could be in, okay, so we can see the low is down here and the high is up here. You could literally just say, I'm going to trade this until, proven otherwise. This is my range. I'm willing to buy in this region and I'm willing to sell in this region. And I'm not really trying to mess around in the middle too much. There's some day trades that are available here, but we've already rotated back up. It'd be very, very important for the price here to recover. Get outside of that, yearly trend back above 120 to 122, and you'll probably challenge at least 140, in my opinion. I think you'd hit 140, barring an SFP of the quarter two high. But so I am being patient, waiting for this in very simple terms. And I've been talking about this idea since last September in the group. So people should be well aware of the idea only that we've got going on, right? We go to the weekly time frame. We've been waiting for this to come down into this box, hit the 886, give us a perfect 50% and 886 here, and then up we go. Now, this is technically a bat setup, and it's bullish, and it carries you out into 2025, believe it or not. Or no, 2024, actually. So it's a ways out there. And the timing on this was very speculative. I put it together when we were like forming the B leg still. So I'm still waiting for a little more data before I really marry this idea. But I would love to see, technically it's already valid. So you only need a 382 for the retrace on this B to C. But in an ideal world, you get, the 886. That makes a really pretty one. So that's what I'd be looking for. So if we break above, I would say 122 being extra conservative. These local highs right here, you can see them on the weekly. I would start looking for a re-challenge of these, like this resistance up here at like 140 to 145. And anything above that, and it's pretty simple. You're going to $200 probably. Like that's point blank. That's pretty much it. You're probably going to head up to about $200 and 214 and 221. Yeah. So, but otherwise just remaining patient, really not marrying any ideas. But at the same time, I'm not putting myself in harm's way by just blindly buying this ledge of a support right here. So let's get off QNT, and I'm not keeping up with the chat very good. So yeah, usually you want to keep like 10 to 15% of a position. Just make sure that you pay yourself. That's really all you're looking to do. Just make sure that you're taking care of in that, and you're not like blowing money being greedy. What are we at? 1820. And what's the next one? DOT. I believe this is the one. All right. Oops. Actually, I need the USD chart for DOT, don't I? Okay, so Polkadot put in a nice shark right here. You can see that we've taken the low by just a little bit, and we took the high, pretty extreme on the high. Really big sell-off into what? Macro support here. So 438 was an NPOC from like March back in this region. That's why that box is there. So I had this box on my chart when we were up here still. And I said if we lose 678 over time, I'm expecting to see this blue box. And it came pretty quick, to be honest with you. And then it's backed up by, I believe this is like just a horizontal level of support. And then this is a weekly swing fail. So on a weekly basis, almost on a daily basis, we have not closed below this level, right? So this is pretty important because below it, it's a big ledge. There's really not much there. So keep that in mind. This is going to be 376 is kind of the line in the sand, but this is a big region of the chart that we have to hang on to. And we don't want to start turning into resistance, because it would just look like you're methodically being marched down. So this is a retest of support after you've already had a third one. So you got to be aware of the lower high on this one. And you have left this little like section of price before breaking down. I think I went to the 4 hour for this. Yeah, I was on the hourly actually. I was like on the crackhead time frame, the max time frame. All right. So we had a nice range up here, boom, 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 off of the low, broke down. We're now forming a secondary range. So on this one, I'm actually in along off of about 440. So I am trading this one actively, Polkadot. Not a huge position size, just so everybody knows, like I'm being pretty cautious on this one. But we were talking about this move to 476. And I was saying we'll probably hit 476 and take this local low. That's the gold pocket as well. And if we don't get a swing fail, we just know we're going to retest this support. And that's where we want to be looking for longs again. And when you're looking at it, you certainly have exactly that. So you don't have like a clean SFP or anything right here, but we have a little bit of a range, and I'm really not doing anything special with this. I'm actually just trying to trade this back up to like the range high. I think my take profit is like 470. So it's kind of more of a scalp, but that's close to 10%, not doing much other than putting in some spot buys and tinkering around, right? So not as much risk. My stop loss is a ways away. Just to give you guys a heads up, it is an 8% stop loss on this because I have it below D. I have it below this local low here. So, but 8% is my stop loss. My position size is calculated for 0.69% risk, meaning that even if that 8% stop loss is hit, my position size based on my capital will only lose 0.69% of that. So, but if it hits, it's going to be a good trade. So as of right now, it's in the profit, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's Polkadot, man. It's very simple. This is a reversal pattern. It's already hit a pretty major target, and we're looking to see if this can, do something. Now, if Bitcoin does put in a bottom here, which, always possible, we'll see, we'll talk. But for me, I'm only scalping some of these supports because they've been support, and I am definitely prepared to lose these trades because, well, they're high risk right now. Altcoins to me are high risk until Bitcoin settles down. So just got to be a little bit careful, but support is support. And I trade each chart individually. And the individual setup here this is a long setup. We have what we need. And if I lose this, daily low right here, then I'm probably not that interested in continuing to hold that position. So that's why the risk is there. Mainly because, well, I mean, it could dip all the way to 376, or it could keep going. We don't really know what's going to happen in that instance. Especially if Bitcoin does go fill that gap at like 20K. I would expect all these alts to get absolutely massacred. So that would be Polkadot for the day. And let me check the chat. What was Dot's all-time high? That's a good question. I think it was like $50, $52, if I recall. Yeah, about $55. So it was a ways out there. We were trading it back here, talking about how when this breaks, we're looking for much, much lower, and that it could go all the way down to, like, at the time, like 1641. This was like a trend-based pocket for us. You did get that move, and then once that broke, I mean, it fucking just absolutely nuking into the 2021 pivot and going further from there. And that was kind of that big level that we were looking at here, about 678, that if lost and flipped into resistance, you were going to have some problems. So is what it is there. That's Polkadot in a nutshell, guys. What's the time? And time is 24 minutes. Let's look at the next one. Trying to get this going somewhat quick for you guys. We'll do Solana next for the Solana bros. Summer Solana, right? I know you guys love Solana. I've been pretty vocal about this one getting a top at around $32 potentially. Once we got this top right here at the Q2 and Q3 low, and let me get rid of the fun folder here for you. And this support, and this also will go in the fun folder eventually. Was looking for this bi-weekly level. So on like a 3-month level, you had this, right? You can see how you hit the Q2 low and the Q3 low. So you can see this is where resistance starts to come in. However, if you go out to like a 2-week chart, a time frame I'm very, very familiar with, you can just see that this is probably a good spot. Basically closes out the giant red candle from the dump, right? So That was kind of the setup, and you can even see it right here on this 2-week time frame. You can see this is an ABCD, right? So this is a 1-to-1 move. That's where that box comes from. And so what you're doing in that instance is, once you've identified the pullback, which was fairly simple, it was literally just a pullback to quarterly support. Also, the gold pocket was there, and you could just kind of look left and see that's where you're at. I'm looking for a new trend, and what you can see is, excuse me, you had a 1-to-1 here, and it was 31.92, and we had that 32.61 bi-weekly level. So it just added to the confluence that 32.61 was a good level to have on your chart, and we should consider taking that trade. Now, it happened so quickly, I don't know that you could have. However, once this did swing fail, I was kind of just looking at like, where am I going to go from here? Well, I know that I've got a harmonic setup. I can get rid of this. I know I've got a harmonic setup right here. You had 2 harmonics technically. You had this one, and so this is your harmonic one. It's a kind of a bastardized Gartley, and if you look at it, that's your 1-to-1, right? So that's all we're doing is we go 1, 2, 3 into the ABCD. Now you're looking at the ABCD saying, where's my targets? Well, anytime you have an ABCD, the first target is going to be the local gold pocket. So when everyone was buying here and here and here, I kind of stuck to my guns and said, well, unless it really flips 25.86, I wouldn't touch this one, because the target on it's about $20, and it's backed up by some pretty good support. You have a Q1 pivot and a 6-month pivot there. So this was always the target for me. And we can get rid of this. Now, another thing to pay attention to is that that's only the local gold pocket. That's not the overall. So you do have an overall gold pocket like so that you would need to be targeting next, which brings you down into the June NPOC. So this would be your next area of interest, is just beneath this. And so what you'd want to see is, if this does take place, because it's just below where we are now, you'd want to see something like this, and then you want to be longing here, targeting this area as the next resistance. But if reclaimed, you can say that I've got a pretty nice range right here, kind of like we had on Matic for a long time. So that's how I would trade that. I would trade those levels until they break. Now, if you break below $13, $14, or you break above $25, this range is no longer a range, and I'm looking to take the low, or I'm looking to potentially re-challenge the high, right? That's all I'm looking to do. Global point of control for this asset is actually like $2. And so I went on Sin City Crypto in January, and they said, well, if Solana rips, like, how high could it go? And I told them 32.61. I clipped that and put it in the group even. So that was always kind of in the back of my mind. Did I know if it was going to get there? No. And did I trade for it? Absolutely not. I don't have much faith in Solana because of just what it's associated with. And I know that rubs people the wrong way. It rubbed one guy the wrong way a lot on Twitter, and I don't really care. Everybody's got opinions. Just don't start calling people names over it, right? So this to me is a tradable region of the chart. It is support. If we get another formal test into it, as long as we're not like going way beneath it and staying, like doing something like this, it's good, right? That's all. It's all you don't want to see. Is you don't want to see this get flipped into resistance. If we see the move down into this side of the range, it may do something like this. You just want to see it recover this like $19 and $18 region. Going to be fairly important, kind of like an EQ, so to speak. But if you lose it, this is the region that I'd be targeting. To be honest, if we lose $13, my eyes go one to the low at 8, and then my eyes go straight to the global point of control with a monthly, weekly level down there as well, somewhere between 474 and maybe even as low as $1.50. And that just Solana going to zero, baby, straight to the dumpster. And no one wants to hear that, but I've been much more right than most of you guys. So I'm going to stick to my guns for right now. Like, you got to trust yourself. And I have full confidence in myself. This is one that when CVO and I looked at it back here, it was like $200. And CVO used to meet with me in the mornings to like learn the system of trading that I have and like go through some stuff. And I told him, I think that this is going to go to like $20. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, you're probably going to come down into this region, and wherever the point of control is, you'll probably see that tapped. And I said it was probably around $20. And we came down pretty low. We went lower than that. We went to 8. So does it mean that it has to go to my targets down here at like $4 and $1.50? No, but I will say this. I hold these targets as targets and not invalidations yet, because this has not done anything on a high time frame scale to make me bullish. If it breaks 32.61, things can get out of hand. You could go all the way to like $50 and still not make a new high on these, like this local structure, and you would potentially come all the way back into the range. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to come all the way down to here at that time, but getting rejected here, making a lower high, right? That's all you've done. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Something has to give. You need to break $32. If you do that, we can start targeting these levels here and here. And then you can say, well, he was wrong. This is going to be summer of Solana, or maybe it's winter of Solana, whatever. And Magic can suck it on this one. Can't be right all the time. You know, and I'll own that at the time. But until then, you know, that's just how it is. Now, another thing to note is you had an ABCD. In the world of harmonics, anytime that, you know, it's kind of like trading patterns as well. Anytime that you have an inverse head and shoulders, you actually have a cup and handle at the end of it, you know, because you have the head and then you have the cup. If you have a ABCD, so something like this, boom, 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 equivalent moves, you should be looking for the next local high to see if you have that W, right? But also, do we have a Gartley? That would be the next question. Is this a valid Gartley? Because it's going to give us the ability to use a trend-based tool that we weren't using before to validate some of our targets potentially. And this is a really nice Gartley. You're normally looking for a 1272, which you got a 1.35, well within at the 786. You have the gold pocket retrace, also ideal. And then you're looking for anywhere from, I believe it's a 382 to 886 for C. It's not quite as important. It's just important that you leave A alone and that you've got the appropriate convergence Fibonacci-wise for the D leg, which is the 786 at a minimum. You can go as high as an 886. However, it has to be a 1.618 in confluence with that in as far as expansion goes, because if it's not a valid Gartley. And the reason that is the 1618 and the 886 have specific reactions when those two are met in most patterns. That's why it's so popular in the shark. That's why it's very popular in the bat setup, and it's also popular in a Gartley. I think that's in volume 3 for Scott Carney, for those that are wondering, the guy who created harmonics. Now, you've got a Gartley here, so we can now work out a new trend. We can say we've got XA to D, and we can start looking for like the 618 and our 1-to-1, our 1618, etc., etc., and look at our 618 on our trend, right? So now our trend is saying, well, if we lose this box right here, I'm probably going to forego the overall gold pocket unless there's an SFP. And my next box that I'll put on the chart with you guys for this asset before we clean it up is going to be right here, that this is my next area of interest. And you could extend this to the June MPOC if you wanted to, but in reality, it's something like so. You know, I just say, and what did we talk about earlier? This is one big range, and we're looking to trade it as a range till it's not. This is the bottom of the range. And if we lose this area of the chart, the quarter two at $13, $14, what did I say? We're looking for the 1-to-1, and that 1-to-1 and the global point of control come in right around $1.34. This would be a pretty big zone for me. I would just, you know, honestly, I wouldn't even be ashamed to say that this would be my target if we lose the trend at the 618 from this setup. I'm looking down into this region, point blank. You know, maybe I get it, maybe I don't, but I'm looking to take the best trades, not just take trades to take them. So they have to make sense to me, and we stick to the TA at that. So this was a short. This is potentially a long, needs to hold. If not, we're looking down to right around, you know, anywhere from $14 or $15 probably. I've been talking about Solana too long. I know you guys love it though. I know you guys are Solana hoes at your core. We're going to 34 minutes here. Let's find the next one. Might as well do XRP. Might as well do it. So not a good look on XRP. Again, right here, this retest of support. I talked about why it's not a guaranteed trade. And the reason being is in XRP's history is it's a pump and dump coin. It will spend a ton of time, like right here, going sideways, building up tons and tons of market structure. Massive pump, give it all back. Massive pump, give it all back, right? So this thing's kind of known for that. So it does kind of, you know, again, a community coin, lots of hype. came right up to the target at the 3-month, also our B leg of our bat setup. So it was one of the few people calling this XRP pump to almost $1 for damn near a year. Knew it was coming, and you've come down and you've come back to what? Our quarterly support here right around 33 cents. And if you start losing this area of the chart, it's also going to be your yearly open. It's not going to look good. You lose that, and there's really no reason why you won't see probably like, anywhere from 17 to 21 cents. Which at this point, if it's 33, you don't really care, but that's just where it is. Now, the most amount of time you've spent on this asset is at 47 cents. That's your time point of control, and your TPO value area low. So you do need to see 47 cents being held as support. This was also a key weekly region, right? We were looking back here. I was talking about how 47.28 cents was the weekly low to hold on a closing basis, and it barely held it here. It actually closed beneath it, but then shot back up. And once it got back above this weekly candle, you knew that you should have been long already at 49 cents. And you broke out and you've hit targets. And those targets were derived on a BAT schedule. And I do need to update my timestamp so that we know. 10 minutes on Solana. I'm sorry, guys. So this was a setup that was covered for you guys way in advance. I gave you guys 29 cents as a target back in June of 2021. So this has been a target for a long time, and it took us all the way until June 2022. So a full year of me talking shit on the internet and being called stupid for targeting 29 cents. But I saved all those comments, and I replied to every single one of them on those videos on TikTok because you guys deserve it. So the BAT trade setup was this. Okay, so for anyone that's wondering how we came to this conclusion, you had a BAT, right? And what was really great about this BAT was the symmetry. So the impulse from X to A was the equivalent to C to D. So when we look at this like so, again, we're always looking at symmetry. Symmetry does matter. And we'll say, how long was C to D? Boom, it's a 1-to-1, off by a week. Now leave this up. How long are these impulses? They are important. X to A, C to D, 50% mark, 1-to-1. Okay, so technically 2-to-1 in this case, but it's a 1-to-1. If you extended this over to here where the 1-to-1 started, it's your 1-to-1. So this was the week. And, I was on record saying that even if XRP wins the case, and I got shellacked on Sin City Crypto for this, that I didn't think it would go above $1.09, which is your VPOC, overall VPOC of the structure. And it's a big structure. So when you're looking at something like this, knowing this is our B leg, you're realistically just saying, okay, where does it make the most sense to take profits at? You could work it out like this. We could apply a Fibonacci, pitchfork. It's essentially turning this one into an inside channel. So it's a channel of what is the trend, right? So XAD trended as a channel, and you've gone from the low of the channel exactly to the high of the channel. You need to break out of that, right? You could draw it up like this. You can see that you didn't close above the EQ here if we did it more of an upwards trajectory. I prefer this for consolidation, which is what this is. So that's what we're using. And then you had the B legs, right? So you had this area of the chart, and that is going to be, why I took profits where I did. I took profits at 87 cents, and that was the last take profit for me. I didn't try to squeeze it out more because I wasn't sure that this asset was going to keep going. So you ran right into that quarterly level we talked about earlier, right? So clean it up just a little bit, go out to the 3-month, and there it is, quarterly level. You also had a yearly level right here. So you knew that 82.87 cents was important, and so is 95 cents. And all you've done is taken the 2022 high, swept it, and nice swing failure pattern, right? So not a bullish look. And if you lose the yearly open here at 33.93 cents, that's the key level to hold at this point. Not going to look good. It's going to look like you're coming all the way back down into like this 19-cent zone that I talked about. And that's a 50% haircut I'm not willing to take. So, do with that information what you guys will. For now, we go out to the Bitstamp chart now to see more data on this one, because there's always more data. It's because Bybit doesn't have all of the XRP data that I need. So I do have a simple Bitstamp chart, and we need to be in log scale for this. And I'm just sorry, I was talking shit earlier to somebody that's an XRP fan, and I was just wanting them to know how far down they are in buying the top here. I know that's not very becoming, but whatever. You can see even on a daily time frame here that this 12M level that was 82.87 on Bybit. It's 83 cents on Bitstamp. This was the level to recover. If you recovered this, we can talk about a new high. But until that happened, nothing. And you got the SFP of the 2022 high into the level and rejection. So it was a great short for anyone that was able to take it. And now you've taken all of these lows, which is pretty phenomenal. It's right into that quarterly support. It's pretty wild. But on a weekly schedule, you need to recover this EQ. And so this is derived again off of 12-month levels. All I've done is said, this is my range. Here's my range settle up here, range settle up here. This is my macro data. Price has been in this area for, well, one part of this year. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll call it 6 years total. And that includes most of this year and then some of 2017, right? So you've spent a long time up here in this range. So the levels are pretty cemented. And this can be a very easy range to trade. You want to be looking for longs as you get closer to the bottom of the range. You could put this, you could apply multiple channels to this if you wanted to. You could say, you could do something like this. And this is going to get kind of ugly, but you could do something like this and say, all right, underneath this, which would be like the 25% mark, this is my buy zone. If I'm an investor, right, for all those XRP nut jobs out there, if I'm an investor, I'm buying this because this historically has been the best place to buy. And it is until it isn't. You break 19 cents and there's really nothing between you and probably trying to make a new low. It's going to look like shit. No one's going to be happy. And you might see like 3 cents. But I think that's well and far away. To the flip side of that, we can now talk about the upside. What level do we need to hold on to? We need to hold on to this EQ. And you can see why. Historically speaking, if you're holding on to this EQ, things look good, right? Above, even out of this, we talked about when it came down to this in that June and July timeframe, I was calling for a pump back to like $1.35. I think it hit like $1.39. Yeah. And that's just the local gold pocket. But I was looking for that 100% retrace out of this area because we've seen it before. Because it came all the way down to like 50 cents. Boom, big area. So getting back above right around 60 cents, give or take, is pretty important. And if you recall from our other chart, we did have the Q1 low and the overall value area low listed for that XRP trade. So you need to see XRP reclaiming. If you really wanted to be conservative, you could just say if the previous week high, the current previous week high in this instance, is reclaimed, and we'll look at it on Bybit too for those that are trading it at 66 cents, that would look more like a reversal and probably a challenge of 82 cents again, or 83 in this case, right? So that's how you're looking at it. But you're just trading this on the macro. This was a really great area to be in. I believe I have it on the other one. Before we move on, I'm trying to run through these as quick as possible because I know there's a lot of them. And you guys probably have better things to do than listen to me rant too much. Nope. There we go. So when you were looking at all of this price action right here on Bybit before we ran to like $1.96 or whatever, you'd left this POC right here. So this is where that 29-cent target for me was derived from, right? So that's why I did that. And it comes in a little bit early from that 19-cent low, if you recall. So it was kind of a bold call to be like, this is where it is. But what gave you guys the edge was you had a trade setup. There was a trade setup right here. I'm going to get out a log for this, showing us that, well, we've completed the bat, meaning that this low should be good. And as soon as we started seeing the structure, we should have known that, okay, this is worth some risk. I can now put my stop loss below the low and not this low, but this low. And I can try to run this up to at least 82 to 87 cents, maybe even as high as 95 and $1.09 over time. Obviously, you didn't get all those targets, but you would have been taking some profits and at least making pretty good bank. That's a 300% move. So now it's back to the drawing board. 47 cents is the most important level for right now. And then getting back above this val around 60 cents, give or take, is going to be important. And if we go to the weekly time frame, extra conservative, you got to have the previous week high flipped into support at 66.59. Otherwise, this is all just a range, guys. Again, we go back to the basics. We say, okay, well, how can I trade this? What's available to me? We can go out to like the yearly chart and we can say that this is, what I'd be most interested in. Maybe there we go. Let's go to the 4 hour. Actually, that'll help a little bit here. You've rotated your yearly range. The yearly point of control is 47 cents, and the yearly value area high is coming in at the quarter one low, around 54 cents, validating this box even further, saying that we need to get back above this. And if so, we can start targeting, a retracement up here. And doing that, you could just very simply do something like this. You don't even have to, do anything special. And you could just say that, man, that 66 cents really is important, isn't it? This little region of the chart. So I would be extra conservative with this one. You want to see this area reclaimed right here. So if you don't, I'd be careful. I'm not trying to catch the falling knife on XRP on this one. The setup that I had in play was in play, and now it's not. So I'm going to let the dust settle a little bit before I do anything with XRP. But you have your triggers for upside. Got to have about 66 cents. Maybe 62 and 58 are early tells. But if you start giving up this like 47 cent level that we've been talking about, things probably don't look good, and you're probably going to start building market structure under 41 cents, which is going to look kind of shitty. So keep that in mind. Let's see. We are at 46 minutes. Yeah, the Solana FTX debacle, yes. Super busy at work. Gazgano, you can go to harmonictrader.com, and he's got free information on his website about each pattern, a video on each one even, and he does sell his books in the group. I've made those all available to download for anyone that wants them. So that's in the members section there. Rusty, seen you on Sensei, that's why I'm here. Good to see you guys. All I do is maintenance to my dreadlocks. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, but definitely check out harmonictrader.com. And Scott Carney also has his own YouTube channel. He does live streams where he has a software that he uses. It's fairly expensive, but he does go over harmonics both for crypto and traditional markets. So if you look up Scott Carney on YouTube and go to his website, he's a great resource. He created the idea of them. So they're all based on statistics and Fibonacci convergence levels that give specific reactions if they're in coordination with each other. So I love that. What's the next one we're going to look at here? Just trying to make sure I get through all of them. HBAR. And we are covering HBAR at 47.40. Like all the HBAR, XRP, and QNT guys are going to be jumping around and just watching those only. I know how you guys are. HBAR was, man, you guys just keep doing it to yourselves, was a bearish bat setup in this case. So gave this one publicly on Twitter. Again, you've done something where you rotated your yearly trend. So again, this is like almost the first lesson in the academy after you go through and start learning about, risk management, which is the biggest one. That's the most important thing, of course. And then it goes into, basic horizontals, and then it goes into pivots and trend. And this is a trend that's used for sessions. So you can use it on a daily session, weekly, 6 month, 3 month, yearly. And we use it on the yearly a lot, or I do anyway. And this is the developing years trend, which is a downtrend. And you had a bearish bat harmonic into this monthly level right here. So get rid of this stuff and get rid of quarter three. And we'll go out to the month, and you can see, okay, this is clearly our monthly resistance. Now I've got the 2020 high marked from a previous chart build. And I do think that $8 or 8.3 cents, excuse me, not $8. If it was $8, man, Weatherman would be having a field day. He'd be all over my feed probably. This is the level to clear, and you can see why. Boom, boom, boom. How many times have you been above it since? You haven't been above it since May of 2022 on a closing basis on a monthly chart. Let's put it that way. So you came into this monthly level here, boom, smacked it straight back down into the 6M2, and now you're flirting with the idea of swing failing July. And if you swing fail July, I would just expect to see the low be taken on this asset at 5.4 cents, and I'd be looking all the way down to 3.65 and maybe as low as 2.97. Anything below that, and it's pretty much a penny after that. You're really not looking at much support there. So I'd be cautious with this one. I say that all the time about alts, but what would get me excited is if this doesn't reject here, and at the end of August, so in like 12, 13 days, you close back above 6.19 cents, the 6M2, also that is your July high, and you don't, continue on a bearish trajectory here, then yeah, we'll probably get a re-challenge of this high even. And then you can start looking at this as, what's my overall range? We could do something like this, and you can see that this gets it pretty well, right? And we could start trading it like so. We could say that this is probably the best way to trade it. We're just looking for the data, and the data says something like this, maybe on the daily here. Yeah, pretty clean. You'd be saying, well, if this recovers the 6M2 in that July high at 6.19 cents, I'm probably going to try to leg it up back to like 7.3 cents, and it doesn't seem like much, but that's actually a decent chunk of change, right? So for now, though, if I am a buyer of HBAR, and I know that a lot of you are, you did just do the bat harmonic, right? So we had this. What are our targets? The target is always the B leg first, right? So we're always looking for here, which is what's holding us down right now. You could also shift this down if you wanted to. You certainly could. You could make it a box, but this would be a pretty big box right here. You could say this is the area that's got to hold us support. This is my B leg, which is the target. I'd be curious where the 50% comes in at, because that's actually your first target. And you've smack dab into the gold pocket, but 0.5 is up there. Where's the 818886? And then you would have the 113 and 1618 as your next targets. So if this plays out, I usually say the full range of targets on something like this is going to be the 113% retrace. If it plays that out, you're looking for anywhere from, high 2s to 3.5 cents, 3.65. That's where that 113% retrace falls. So that's what you'd be looking for over time, potentially. What invalidates it is realistically getting all the way back above 7.3 cents and holding it as support, or making a new high here. That would invalidate the targets. Like if you came up and you took out D or X even up here without even tagging the 2020 high, probably not going to be a valid harmonic at that time anymore. And we've already had the easy play. But yeah, trading this for what it is. We lose the support we were just talking about in this region. Our target's the 113% retrace. Let's, I actually think that, I think this one might actually play too. Let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of the 1. Boom. Looking for here. Now, you do have a potential trade set up before then, and we'll talk about that. It's going to be here. And let's make that a little bit right there. And why is this a potential trade setup? Well, one thing harmonics does is it gives you the important pivot points in the market, right? Straight away, we know where the pivot points are in terms of where the highs and lows that matter. And you would need to see this low right here at 4.56 cents taken, not hit 3.65, and maybe it does something like this, and you get the swing fail. That could be a valid long setup. But you got to get the swing fail here, or you just don't trade that. Now, my inclination is it's going to do something like this and then down, and then you can take this trade here, or you can even wait for it to recover this key leg at A and take the trade, or you can even wait for the C leg. So you're just literally using the pivot points we already have set out, A and C. And you're using those as areas to work in validation so that you can perform a trade and get a stop loss and work out your risk. If you're long from the gold pocket, my thing is I just put my stop loss below the low, and I would be looking to target 6.19 cents next. That's how I would do it personally. Doesn't mean that's how you have to, but that does come in pretty close to the quarterly value area high as well. So, it's not a bad place to be looking at. But yeah, that's HBAR in a nutshell, range bound. So you can see on the high time frames here. Let's get rid of some of this stuff before we make a mess. because we already are. Again, high time frames go to like the weekly chart. This is why I made the post that I did, that unless HBAR, well, I gave the post for the trade setup that's a short. And then two, I said, you know, I gave you guys one range, and it was the quarterly range with the POC. And again, that POC is right here. So you can see exactly where it came to. You know, that post was not meant to be a trade signal, but might as well have been. There was only one target on the whole chart at that point, and that's the point of control from the one range that's up. But if you go to the weekly, you can see why the 2020 high is so important. Gotta have this flip to support, and then you do have this nice W formation, and we can target, you know, 12 and 13 cents even. But until that happens, I'd be a little cautious. You start giving up 5.6 cents and closing below the July high at 619 here in a couple weeks. That's kind of a red flag, and I'd be looking for this to make that dip down below this low into the 2023 open. Simple. All right, OC's in the house. He came in just in time. 56 minutes or so. Yeah, 56 in is where we're at. What else do I got here? Oh, I put this on the wrong one. Where's my content? There we go. We need to do Link and Kadena next. And I probably won't take any requests. I'm not trying to be rude, guys. It's just 2 live streams today. Both of them are pretty long. So I've got things to do. 56:30. We're going to be looking at either Link or Kadena. I think Link is actually on a different folder, so it'll be Kadena next. KDA. We actually made a public video about KDA for anyone that's wondering. And yeah, I was calling for this box, and well, here we are. No harmonics needed. If you rewatch that video, it's from November. We were trading somewhere in this region at the time, I believe, looking for 42 cents. I said, I'm not interested in price until we reach 42 cents. And even then, I'm not blindly setting down in this region because this is not a good look. This is heavily sold into, doesn't even make a new high, pumps all the way back or drops all the way back to the low. Not if you're in it for the tech, then you're happy. But if you're not in it for the tech, like as a trader and investor, I just can't get behind this chart. Now, if it gives me a setup, like this is a really clean SFP right here on the weekly time frame. You can see you took the weekly low here, back tested it even, right? You can see that right here. We've got a really nice level of support, and you could even see that this is a weekly level of support as well. You know what I need to do? The rectangle is up here. Oh, it's the last one. I'm an idiot. You would just say that this is my support zone and that I was going to long with stop loss, you know, below the low essentially. And, you know, if I get stopped out again, that's what risk management is for. Boom, stop loss goes there. You get all this. Now you're going to hold through all that? Probably not, because you're probably using leverage and shit. But yeah, but you know, this has been a very weak chart for a long time. Huge pump. And then if you look at the averages, that's the only things that are up here, the averages. And you can see they're all untapped. So when price isn't even auctioning back to the prior session average, I mean, it's just being sold. That's all it is. No one's buying this. Nobody's investing in this project. And people will say, well, it's the bear market. Bitcoin's going down. Everything goes down. To a degree, yes. But this is extremely bearish. Like, more bearish than a lot of them. A lot of alts had nice pumps. This one just kind of fucking straight down. So I refer to this chart as hot dog water. I do. I don't know anything about Kadena, and I don't care, because if I knew something about Kadena, I might have bought it. And I'm glad I didn't, because look at it. Would you really sit there and tell me with a straight face that I should be holding Kadena because it can do X, Y, and Z, and you were buying up here to $1, and now it's 44 cents, and you're down 56% on your investment, and you're okay with it? Like, I can't get behind that. I'm just not the one. And props to anyone who is. Your diamond hands are going to be better than mine. But clearly this needs to put in a range here, and it could put in a very large range even, mainly because until you're actually back above almost $3.60 out of this like little zone, in my opinion, this is a fucking ugly chart. If you were being super aggressive, you could probably move it down and say, if we get back above $1.36, I might be happy. you know, or maybe 213. But for me, I'm looking at right here saying, even if it comes all the way to here, it's not looking good, bro. We're not looking good. So this is more of a clout one, but we are going to work out some stuff on Kadena. 32.5, and I'm going to have to put the 236 on because this thing is absolute dog shit. Yeah, so your 13% retrace, your 0.133 is your first fib, and you'll be looking at that at 71 cents. Clear 71 cents, and we go back to these averages, quarter one, quarter two, $1.04, $1.09. It's a new quarter. Let's see where our quarterly pivot is. Oy vey. We don't need these. And if you recall, we were just looking at our fibs, and we're in log looking at fibs. We're not actually in. Yeah, so that lines up nicely right around 75 and 71 cents. So that's your key level to the upside to get back above for now. And that's like a full 60, 70% away, 75%. So maybe buying this and taking the bounce if it puts in some market structure and gives us like an SFP type trade here, I'd be interested. So what I'm going to do, just so that we stay on this one, otherwise I will forget about it, is I'm just going to put an alert. And when I add that, KDA local low. Okay. Boom, done. So now I'll get an alert. I'll say KDA local low. And when I get that, I'll know that I need to come back and take a look at the reaction and see if there's a trade there eventually. But until then, I'm not interested. I'm not touching it. You could blindly buy this area if you're a DCAer, I guess. I mean, it's literally your last hope, and it could be a good one. I'll show you the high time frames on it. But I've been in this space long enough that I can tell you that the fundamentals are schmundamentals, man. It happens every cycle to someone. So yeah, you can see why this is exactly it. You SFP'd on a 6-month time frame. You put in a 6-month level here at the 6M2 open for 2021, and you know you box this area off because I think you have like a quarterly or a monthly level just below that. Yeah, you get a monthly right here. So got a monthly level, got a 6-month level. These are your most high time frame areas to work off of. Outside of that, you know, could be some good upside, but I would wait for a setup personally. What is this? 50 cents. We could use 50 cents as a barometer, it looks like. Go back to the daily. Yeah, 50 cents. So out of this, I would expect a back test of 50 cents. Get above 50 cents. We start trying to target these local highs here and see if we can't actually put in a move to the quarterly pivot at 75.4 cents. They have hit their last 2 quarterly pivots, which is outstanding for this one since it doesn't really do that much. And yeah, I wonder what the 6-month pivot is actually. Let's see here. We'll update the chart live in the time. And I'm not watching the chat, so I should probably do that. Hey, Quarter Crawler and Justin Eubanks. What's up, man? All right, let's see here. 50.21, 1.414. $46.06. Bueller. I know this is boring, guys, but we're already here. Bear with me. All righty then. There we go. There we have it. And we can get rid of this now. Fucking yearly VWAP's so far away. Oh, that's embarrassing. Yeah, no, good bounce zone. This very well could bounce back to like 46 cents from where it is, and that's not much. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say it's not much, but I'm trying to be optimistic and not be such a dick to this group because I know that they're very like diehard fans. They love this thing. Yeah, it's 23% to the June low here. So if you can get back to the June low, which if we look again on the monthly, you'll see why it's important. Back to the June low, get back above that level. But that's a decent sized bounce. If you're looking at 40 cents up to 50 cents, that's what, 25%, give or take. It's not bad. If you can take it to the quarterly high and take these local highs, the bottom may be in and starting to form market structure. Best case scenario for this one is something like this. Sideways and up. Build out that market structure. Algorand looks like that. So that is Kadena. Let's see. We've got one left, and that is Stinky Linky. How are we doing on this one? You're just not going to come down here? That's fine. I've got an alert set, but it's all you can do. Stinky Linky. All right. This is my baby. So Link did something really cool. I actually have macro fib time on Link that's in the highlights section of my Twitter account, where I called the all-time high based on fib time and then a 1-to-1 that just came in at the low on D, telling me that this could be the overall low potentially because we've now come down, taken the local low on an SFP. You've now taken all the liquidity from this entire move by doing so into a perfect 1-to-1. Again, just like Solana, just like the DXY, right? So now we're looking at this and we're saying, yeah, 1-to-1. Sorry, I was doing some mental stuff here, and almost perfect. Almost perfect. Just missed it by the hair of its chinny chin, right? So nice setup. What do we know about AB equals CDs? We know two things. You could have a Gartley and you could have a channel. Now, when you're looking at this one, you can tell that we don't have a Gartley because C is an 886. So there is no Gartley, right? That's point blank. Now, you could potentially get a shark. This is shark territory, but that would imply that you have to retrace to not only the 886, but the 1618. So what I mean by that is when you're looking at this, you're going, well, if we break out of the channel, right? That's what we want to know. If we broke out of the channel, what would our targets have been? Because we've taken the low, we would be targeting the 886 and the 1618. Now you can see we've got at least an 886, but we don't have a 1618. So this can go up to a 113.3% extension above the local high with a 2.24 maximum and minimum of 88 and minimum of 1618 for expansions, right? So you'd start looking at it like this and going, do we even have the validity to break out of this channel? You don't. So for us, we were looking for lower because look at this. By the time you get to a 1618 here, you're so overextended of the maximum, which is a 113% retrace, that this just isn't a valid pattern, so you can't really trade that. So you have to be looking at this as I'm continuing to trade this channel. And my number one target was going to be what? My yearly, this is the yearly right here, value area low, okay? And I have a gold pocket here. Now I've come down and taken these local lows and I'm trying to hold them as support. So if we get that move, we're just looking to do exactly what we just did. We're looking up and saying, where is my next gold pocket? Where is, my local, all that stuff. You're just very simple, very easy trading. And you're saying, okay, here's my yearly. There's my point of control, which that would put us back at 719, which is a dollar move, which is like, 12%, 13%. If math serves me correct off the top of my head, right? If we're right here and we're looking up, you're looking at 14%. Now, overall, if you caught the exact low, which none of you did, 27.53, right? So what do we do from here? Well, again, this is going to come down to staying somewhat organized. So those are my annuals. Semis. Where are my quarterlies at? I don't know that I ever made quarterlies for this chart. I think I did it on, I did it on the USDT pair for some reason because I'm a fucking moron. Anyway, what we're looking to do is just find local information. And if you recall, there's our quarterly POC, which is even higher than the yearly. And there is our gold pocket right there on the quarterly POC. Now, that's obviously subject to change. Quarterly POC certainly could change because we still have 6 weeks left. And you've got a fairly good size high volume node. Whoops. Right here. You can see it's starting to form here at the low, which is not a good look. If your POC and range shifts down into here, it means I would expect to see the 818886 leg. Now, normally I wouldn't have this up for an AB equals CD, but given the overextension of the C leg here from B to C, it's a valid ABCD still. I believe that's volume 2 of Scott Carney's books. You still got the 1-to-1, very valid, but now I'm looking for the 818886, and that's also my overall May low and the B leg right here. So then I'd be looking at this as the next area to potentially trade. However, if we lose 544 and 519, I'm really not all that excited about the price at that point, and I'd be looking for 388, which is the 2020 NPOC. This is gonna kind of hurt when people see this. And I've been talking about this for so long that I was wondering if it would ever hit. But oh, that is not supposed to be like that. There's your 2020 NPOC. Obviously, I moved it up a little bit because I wanted it to be a little bit of a front run. Also, the number that ends with 88 is, something that I like. And if we turn this on now, you can see that this is our range high and range low. And we've been stuck inside the 2020 range for quite some time. So not a good look for the old Link Marines, showing us that if you couldn't get back out of the 2020 range, you may be targeting over time the point of control, which is how range acceptance works. And 2020 POC is on deck if this thing doesn't start recovering quickly. Now, if you break out of this channel, I would just expect us to take the June range high because we've already taken the overall low. So let me get rid of some stuff on the chart so we can look at this in a better light so it's not such a clusterfuck, right? And let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of a few other things. We need that one. We need that one. We don't need the B leg. And we don't need the fibs. We don't need this box. So let's say that we do come down and make a new low, or don't make a new low, and this reverses, and it starts coming back up, and it breaks out of this like falling channel, this AB equals CD falling channel, right? Where are we targeting? Realistically, you've already come down and taken the low. This is another one that I need to just star. Boom, there we go. You've already taken the overall range low. If you fail to make a new low and take the low again, one would assume eventually you're going to take the overall range high. As you've not swept the overall range high yet, you've only swept the low. So we don't have a proper swing fail. So if this does break out, I'm looking for this area up here, the June range high, which is $9.63. And we know, based on the 2020 range, that it's super important that we hold that as support. So it could be a great area to look for another short. And then you could do something as simple as saying, okay, well, now I have a huge range. I've SFP'd it. Where is it likely to backtest? Usually it's going to be the point of control, right? And one thing I wanted to show you guys was this, actually. It's your swing points of liquidity indicator by Leviathan. Max has a full video on it. So if you're in the group, go to the website and watch the video, please. But this was the June range high, if you recall, and you can see all of this sitting up here, almost a million link just waiting, and positive open interest left up there in liquidity. So that would be why. And you can even see that you've got more along the way, telling us if we break out of here, there's stuff drawing us up here, right? So that's it. You don't have anything to the downside at this point. There's nothing down here. So if you start breaking down into this region, the obvious target's going to be the 2020 in POC. And anything below that, and well, it can get pretty ugly at that point. If it rotated the full 2020 range, that would be bad. You'd be looking at like $1.50 to $1.17. Not an ideal conversation, I guess, for lack of a better term. But that's how I'm viewing Link right now. So for me, I'm watching that gold pocket that we were just looking at right here. Can we hold this as support? I know we wicked through. Would really prefer to see this hold as support. If it doesn't, this still is support at 544. to 519. It's also your general EQ of your 2020 range. So your 50% marker of that standard deviation of price action from that session. Got to have this little box hold. If it doesn't, well, probably just going to head to the 2020 MPOC. And then this doesn't look like a channel anymore. It looks like it's just going to roll over and it's a downtrend. That doesn't look good. So reading the reaction here and then maybe even slightly lower is going to be key. And if you get that, you could get a very good entry to potentially make a new high. However, it's all going to be dependent on, you know, getting a setup, meaning that we got to get an SFP. We got to form a little bit of market structure, be able to work out a stop loss because there are no guarantees. Otherwise, as of right now, no strength is showing in the chart. So I'm still waiting for 544 and 519 to be quite upfront with you. Until there's a reason for me to take this long, I'm just not going to take it. Just from a, what's the word that I'm looking for? Just from a market structure standpoint, you know, so I'm trying to be as prolific and vivid with you guys as possible in terms of what I'm thinking on the chart and how I'm trading it. Mainly because I think it'll help you long term. That way you guys can make your own decisions, because I won't trade for you, obviously. But that concludes today's live stream, because we are an hour and 16 minutes in. Holy crap. That's a fair amount of time into this one. And I forgot to put the link timestamp, so I'll have to figure out where that was. But do me a favor, if you guys are watching or watching it back, smash the like. All the links in the description, they are affiliate links. I don't have like any paid partnerships or anything in terms of like people paying me to say things, but I do have affiliate links. They help out the channel, and they're always for tools that you're going to be using anyway. And there are some that even just give you free cryptocurrency without having to deposit money or anything like that, like Publish 0x. So if you guys use those, it helps me and helps you. But otherwise, I'm going to hop off, enjoy the Friday and the weekend. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next update.